to dial in. Yes, we are live and we are on. Yes, it's already happening. This is our third parenting seminar in 2021. So I'd like to welcome each and every one of you on behalf of Mama Tendo Foundation. Very welcome. Please, I'd like to encourage you to reach out to somebody, reach out to someone. Yes, we are also live on YouTube on the Mama Tendo Foundation page. Yes, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, share the link. I have just posted the link of the live stream in our chats. Very, very, very welcome. Reach out to somebody, reach out to that parents group. This is free of charge. I can't say that indeed Jesus has paid it all, and proudly brought to you by Mama Tendo Foundation. Right about now, we're going to be started with our program, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Ruhweza, who will be leading us in a word of prayer. If Mr. is not here, definitely Mrs. is there. So let's welcome David Ruhweza. If you could just unmute and then also put on that video, and then we'll be started. Okay, Mama Tendo, could you take that on?
Okay, let me do so.
Thank you very much. We just need that video also, and then we'll be good to go. Thank you. Looking good.
Thank you very much, Aaron, and thank you very much, everyone who has turned in. Hello, how are you? It is always very delightful to be hosting the Mama Tendo Parenting Seminar and to see parents coming in to attend the meeting. You are most welcome for the meeting. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to thank you so much for today. We want to thank you so much because you are bringing this day to pass. We pray that you give us wisdom and you give us counsel as we talk and deliberate on issues concerning children, concerning families, concerning harmony in the home. Father, we thank you and we pray for our speaker. We pray for inspiration. We pray for guidance. In Jesus' name we have prayed.
Amen.
Amen. Yes.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much. I should say thank you very much, our host. At times I wonder, what is the feminine of host? Does it become hostess? Of course, I don't think it does. So we'll keep it at host. Thank you, Mama Tendo, for opening this session, the word of prayer. Yes, and asking the Lord to take over and to speak through the various people that will be speaking. My name is Elon Katweheyo, and I'll be our MC this afternoon. I'm privileged to be leading our program. Wow. You know, I am a young parent, a parent of 3 children. We're in our 6th year of marriage with my wife. Yes, and it is that way, the legal way, the proper way. And yes, we are very much delighted to have Honorable Dr. Monica Musenero in our midst. And yeah, later on, our host will be introducing her more appropriately, and will also be welcoming her to share with us the wisdom. How was it possible that her mom was able to raise her given all those conditions? So very, very, very welcome to all of us. I want to take this wonderful opportunity to welcome back Mama Tendo. Mama Tendo, kindly come back and share with us some brief remarks, some opening remarks, set a stage for us as we delve into our parenting seminar. Mama Tendo, welcome back. If you could just unmute your microphone. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Today is actually a very exciting day for me. I first interacted with our speaker through her book, Lessons from My Mother. That's how I first got to know her. So I'm really excited. And it's a book, by the way, that I have done with my kids here at home and other kids, because one of the things that makes me happy is teaching children. So every Saturday, we have a class here studying different books. I think it's that book, Lessons from My Mother, which we have finished. And now we are doing The Richest Man in Babylon with these children. It's exciting, because before Dr. Musenero got so busy, I had given her a call and thought she would come and meet these children, because there are certain things that she was saying in this book that are so interesting and the children cannot imagine them. So I'm really excited about today. It's just so exciting that parents are coming in today to listen to her, to share ideas, to really, I know some are facing very many challenges with raising children. They are frustrated. Some feel like giving up. It doesn't matter whether they are toddlers or teenagers, it can be quite frustrating. So this forum is really excited to be having a place where we can share and pour out our hearts and learn from one another how we can parent our children better. You don't have to do it alone. No one has done it alone at all. It has always been villages raising children. So thank you very much for that. And I would like to say, I think we have a preamble, if I remember the program very well from you, Aaron. We are asking parents to share with us freely, and to share with any parent can put up their hand and share some of the challenges that they are finding in raising children. What are some of the challenges that we are finding in raising children? Aaron, I'll leave that to you, because you have the exact topic, which we want the parents to share a preamble before that talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, I would like to say that giving us your Saturday afternoon, this is just a few minutes over 2 o'clock, is a very big
Sunday.
blessing.
It's a Sunday, Aaron.
Sorry. I meant Sunday, because I was for service this morning. Yeah, what I meant. Thank you very much, Mama Tendo. Giving us your Sunday afternoon. That is even more pricey and costly. This is family time. Giving us your afternoon is a real huge blessing to Mama Tendo Foundation, and it's a statement to your commitment to your parenting journey. It's a statement to the desire to rebuild the family fiber in the nation of Uganda, in the communities, as Mama Tendo has shared. And indeed, it takes a village to raise a child. We have before we get to our question, interactive session, we have our YouTube channel as Mama Tendo, and I want to share the link, and please go over there and go ahead and share it with others, and subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and there's already great videos about pregnancy, about antenatal, and all those wonderful videos already on the channel. But also, I need to say that our Twitter handle, let me share just that Twitter handle, and you go ahead and like it and follow and tweet and just share it with others. So right into our interactive session, Mama Tendo has already introduced this. I want to say that we want to have a roundtable discussion. We want to hear from you. One of the aspects from the evaluation of the previous 2 parenting seminars, which I've been privileged to be part of, is that most times the communication has been in in a format we call simplex. Now I did a bit of telecom engineering. So simplex is one-way communication, monologue, that one-way kind of communication. So this time around, we were like, let's have a little more interaction. So that's why, as Mama Tendo has said, and our question is simple. What issues are you facing in parenting? It could be parenting teenagers, it could be parenting children, but what issues are you facing? What challenges are you facing as you parent? So I'd like to give opportunity to as many as the time will allow. You can just raise your hand with that Zoom feature. You can also use the chat, but I'd like to encourage one or two people one, two, three or so people to raise your hand and you would be able to communicate. So what challenges, what issues, are you facing in parenting? Yeah, so that's a question that's a discussion question we are having on table. Yeah, so I've again posted it in the chat. Let me see who go first. Feel free. You can raise your hand. I like to there's that groundbreaker. There's that person that usually opens for the others. I like to see that person. Yeah. What issues, what challenges have you encountered? Maybe it's not you, but you know of a neighbor or you know of a friend who has had some of those challenges. Let's see. I can see some names and probably I can even identify some people. Yeah, so any hands coming up? Any hands coming up? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. This is Brother Raymond Owot. If I recall well, Owot is dialing in from Germany. Yes. Most welcome, Raymond. Go ahead. You may unmute. Raymond, please unmute. Okay, okay. Okay, go ahead and unmute now.
Okay, now I can unmute.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's a pleasure to be here to listen to great minds and thoughts. I'm so honored and happy to be here. So I'm not a parent, I'm a student. Yes, and I just, well, as growing up, I encountered a lot of issues. And one that I would like to share with everyone, and it could be a point of discussion, is as a parent, how do you try to balance your child's interests, especially a teenager? I was a teenager and my parents really found it difficult to balance the interests I had plus their good intentions for me. And I really couldn't understand the direction they were leading me to. And I thought, well, my dream to be, I love sports. So I really wanted to be into sports, play sports. That was my dream career. But my parents wanted something else. They thought I would be a good lawyer or a scientist, something more traditional. So it caused a little bit of issues here and there. And I really want to understand from a mature perspective, how do you try and balance the two so that everyone could, have that satisfaction, both on the child's part and the parent side? Yeah, that's my one issue. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Brother Raymond. Actually, Raymond, you've given us a very good blend or should I call it a twist to our interactive session. You may not be a parent, but you have a question, or you have an inquiry, or you have a statement to make, just like Raymond has made. But also I see the one holding Galaxy Note 9 saying, how do you disclose the topic of service to children in the age bracket of 7 to 12 years? I know that some of these, our guest speaker, you could just take note and respond somewhere. And then my 8-year-old walked to me and asked me, what is sex? Oh, okay. So how do you disclose the topic of sex? Yeah, to that age bracket. Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. That question has also been handled. Let's get Mama Tendo. I see your mic is open. You want to say something?
Yes.
Go ahead. Okay. Thank you very much. The person that asked, if you don't mind, you can mention your name, but otherwise, thank you for dialing in. It's great to have you. Okay, yes, Mama Tendo.
Yes. Yes, Aaron, I was saying that we have to share the dilemmas, the real challenges they don't have to be questions, because we'll have a session for questions, but what are some of the things that you see among our youngsters that just worries you, what their generation is going to be like, you know? For example, things that bother me so much when I see them is disrespect, you know? Where children are so disrespectful, they don't know, elders in the family are not respected, grandparents are not respected. It is something that bothers me so much about, and then on top of that, they have a sense of entitlement. You know, you have not done for me this, and you have not done for me that, and you have not done for me that. This kind of challenges I see, so demanding and a form of entitlement. And by all means, many of the parents that are online today probably are providing for their children better than how they were provided for. And in my assumption, it's like the parents here probably were more grateful, you know, more grateful than they find their children in some aspects, you know. So what is causing that kind of attitude? You know, what have we done or not done, or what is the environment that is bringing our children to have that kind of attitude that is really nasty, and that is really taking them nowhere? I think when I see these things happening, they just break my heart. They just challenge me a lot. Yeah. That's what I had to say, Aaron.
Thank you very much, Mama Tendo, for sharing. Yes, actually, how I look at it is that the questions asked are challenges themselves. For example, how do you, the challenge of being able to balance the interests of the teenagers or the children and the parents' dreams, yeah, the parents' desires. And of course, right there, disrespect can come in, as you have shared, Ebli. And then the challenge of how do you do sex education to your preteen, because 7 to 12 years, that's a preteen. It's okay. And then Mercy has shared on the chat that the challenge of exposure is too much information over social media, even the TVs and the print media. You know, everything is available. Okay, let's hear from the other parents. What challenge are you facing? What challenges are you facing in raising your children? You can feel free and just raise your hand, and then there's the chat. I know that there are people also on YouTube. One of the members of the team is responding, I believe. So what challenges are you facing? I don't want to mention some names, but I can see some people. I can see dear friend Joanne, Auntie Joanne. I can see a number of people. Dorothy, feel free to share. It's an interactive session. And then right after we get into the speaker, guest speaker for the afternoon. Okay. Maybe you would want to also add a bit of flesh onto what has already been shared. Maybe you want to open and then just share what has your experience been. How have you handled the various the difference between what you desire for a child and what they want. Okay. Thank you very much. Dorothy in the chat is saying adolescent peer pressure. Adolescent peer pressure. Okay, that scripture that says bad company actually ruins good morals. So okay, peer pressure is real. Is real. Yes. Okay, some more feedback. I hope we all know where to find the feature of raising your hand. I believe it's available right there. Right there, when you get to the reactions, you get to reactions, then you can actually raise a hand. Yeah, let's have one more person if it's possible to share using the microphone to speak. Okay, thank you very much, Moxen, sharing about the cyber and social media influence. Yes, cyber influence, social media influence, and all that come with it. Okay, thank you. What other challenges? Could we have one person just raise a hand? Parents. Okay. Okay, I see from Joanne that they seem to be knowing too much and not taking our advice, listening more to friends than parents. So, in other words, the aspect of disrespect, you're branded that you are of the other generation, and all that, and paying more attention to their peers than to you. Okay, Mercy comes again and says disrespect, demanding for stuff, I think is caused by us parents ourselves, how we raised and groomed the children. Wow. Okay, thank you. Very, very, very appreciated. So, let me ask Sylvia. Sylvia, you put up your hand. If you could unmute. Sylvia?
Hello.
Yes, hello. We can hear you.
Yes. Good evening, parents. My concern is that how are parents handling the issue of teamwork? Because I've realized in most families, since children are not trained to how to work with each other and how to relate with other family members, we find families are being separated when we go like for functions or anything that where we need teamwork. How are other parents, or how does Dr. Musenero talk about teamwork? How can we train our children teamwork right from our homes?
Okay. Wow, that's a big one. Of course, as they say, that charity begins at home and does not end there. Yeah, so it's good to ask, how do you build the aspect of teamwork right from home? How do you build that aspect of teamwork? Wonderful. Okay, Thank you very much. Let the comments keep coming in. The chat is open and you can't exhaust it. So feel free to go ahead and share right in the chat. Drop your question, drop your comment. We will surely attend to it right about now. This is the time I know that we've been waiting for. I'd like to invite our host, Mama Tendo, who in turn will introduce and welcome our guest speaker. Mama Tendo, very welcome.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Excited as usual about this moment. And one of the things, just to say something about what the last parent said, most of the parents, most of the children, okay, people in my age group and even younger, when their parents are going to die, one of the last message they give to them, you know, they can talk to them probably in Luganda. Let me say it in Luganda. Bana bange ngenda naye mukolaganenga, you know, mukolerenga wamu. That's what most parents say, that work together, stay together. But one of the things that I have said, it is a wish of every parent that their children work as a team. But we have to ask ourselves, when we are living and we are not on our deathbeds, are we enforcing a teamwork in our homes? No? Are we getting our children to work together? Are we dealing with those aspects that kill teamwork, that kill togetherness? I think that is where the big question is. It doesn't matter what you will say to your children on their deathbed that work together. If you've not built that teamwork, if you've not been seen as a pacifier, and you have been dividing up your own children, I don't think telling them that word on your deathbed will be able to bring them together. So it's very, very important that we live in the family right from the beginning and build that teamwork. Thank you so much, parents, for what you have shared, your challenges on teaching children about sex, teaching children about different things, and I hope we can be able to address them and find solutions together and even share experiences together. It's 2:34 and I have a very interesting book. It is called Lessons from My Mother. It was written by Dr. Honorable Monica Musenero Masanza. It's a book that she wrote about her own experience in her family and what she saw her mother do as she was being raised up. It's a book, as I've told you, I want you to study it with your children. I'm studying books with my children, not only my children, but also other children that God has given me in the neighborhood. So it's a book we have studied. It's a book where we've picked a number of life lessons, and it's a book I would recommend you to read, not alone, but with your children, discussing the aspects. In this book, you see a family that is facing a lot of poverty, a lot of need, but a family which is going forward because it is working as a team. A family where there is love and care for one another. One of the most touching stories that I shared, and Rachel or anyone online, if you have that link to the story we published on Friday, please share the link in the chat. Anyone of the group of Mama Tendo staff, please share the link if people have not read the story. One of the most touching story is when Dr. Musenero was going for secondary school and she had no mattress. And you remember those mattresses where people used to put visubi, you know, the grass mattresses, you know, and all cotton mattresses. She had never owned a mattress, but the way everyone in the family worked to make sure she goes to secondary school and she has a mattress to show off. I mean, a mattress to use, not to show off, but to use. It's very, very touching. It touched me very dearly, and so many other incidents. And most of all, the wisdom with which her mother raised the children. One of the other things that touched me is there were always conflicts about land. You know, in the village, you've entered my land, so you've entered my land, so you've entered my land. And the mother was tired of the neighbor always complaining that she has entered her land. So she said, now the mother made a new boundary and say, okay, where do you pass? She was losing a small piece of land, but she said, okay, you pass there and take that land. Now let us make new marks. This is where you pass, and that is where you pass. She gave away a small, tiny piece of land to the neighbor so that the fights can end, you know, because she said in her book that many people in the villages cut each other and break each other for just a very small strip of land. You know, not even a foot, you know, not even a very tiny piece of land, but people are becoming enemies for generations, cutting each other to pieces. I think these opportunities, the wisdom of pursuing peace for the family is very, very important, and great lessons in this book. And I know we are going to learn greatly from what she's going to talk. So thank you so much for those who have joined us today. And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our speaker this afternoon, Honorable Dr. Monica Musenero Masanza. Dr. Monica is a recognized scientist all over Africa. She's a disease rescue expert. She's an expert in Ebola and COVID-19 and other tropical diseases. She has been recognized by WHO and other international health organizations. She has won also several awards because of her work. And also, she is the Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovations in the government of Uganda. My friends, put your hands together to welcome a great speaker we have in our midst today. Thank you very much. Dr. Musenero, you are most welcome to take the floor.
Thank you very much. I wasn't being able to unmute myself.
Oh, sorry about
I hope
that.
I will live up to the introduction that you have given me to the mothers. Thank you so much, all the participants and all the parents. I feel a little bit more intimidated addressing such an audience than an audience of scientists, because this is real life which touches individuals and things which they are going through. So if you're not authentic and you haven't touched it, it is such a challenge. But let me hope that over the next few minutes, I'll make a presentation and then we'll leave quite a bit of time for us to share and also to respond to some of the challenges that parents have shared in the introductory session. So if I can be allowed to share my screen, I think I can. First of all, as I listen to the pains that parents are sharing, I feel the pain. I am a little older than maybe many of the parents, but I'm not too old. My experiences are not so old. They can still relate to us. across the generation, because I'll be sharing what my mother taught us and then how have I applied that, and what has made a difference and what has not made the difference, what has been easy to transfer and what has not been easy to transfer. But above all, I'll be sharing more of principles, and then we can discuss how we can apply those different principles. So that's the lady. She was called Eunice. You can see she's there in my background. She always remained beautiful. Unfortunately, we lost her early this year. She had been with me for 5 years, staying at my home. But on the 21st of June, I think she was ready to go. It's the day I was swearing in as minister, and at 7 in the morning, she left after just went into some crisis at around 4:30, and by 7 she was gone. But she lives on. I don't think she'll ever die. So I was requested to share lessons from my mother's parenting style, and you can get the book and read all those examples, put in real life examples. Many times we read books, they are written elsewhere. And because they are written elsewhere, sometimes translating those cultures and those things to yourself, it becomes difficult. I grew up in a very, really, I've transcended the levels through Uganda. I was born in a very, very poor context, polygamous. My mother was not really educated, and she had about 3 years of education, but she was orphaned when she was 3, so she didn't really have a lot of examples of what a parent should be. And many of us can say, I don't know how to parent because I didn't have a mother, I didn't have a father, I was tormented. I think we can all learn parenting. So she became a parent at 3 to her brother, who was 9 months when their mother died. And they were just the 2 of them, then they had step siblings. I'll tell you a little bit more as I give the presentation. So I want to open with this quote from Mark Twain. It's called the whiskey barrel theory. And Mark Twain talks about sermons and the pastors. When the pastor is not yet married and or doesn't have children, when he preaches, before he gets his first experience of parenting, they always give other parents 10 commandments for parents. And they are really so biblically aligned and they all look neat. After the first child, they have those first few weeks and uncertainties. They change their sermons to the 10 hints for parents instead of the commandments. He says that after the second child, the sermon changes to a few suggestions for parents. And the third, after that, when the firstborn becomes a teenager, they quit preaching about parenting. I thought that this was so a classic, that there is no school for parenting, and there can't be a college, there can't be a course which fixes, the way we treat a disease or the way so it's continuously learning, it's continuous experiential learning, and we can draw, however we can draw principles. As I talk in the link, in the chat, we have posted the link. My daughter markets this book online. You can place your order of the book and it will be delivered to you by clicking on that Afroshinda link. Now, I want to first give some few hints which are going to guide us. The first thing is every parent wants to be successful. And that's what stresses us. You really want to be a successful parent. You want to because most parents see their success in their children. Now, when you look into the dictionary for what success is, it says it's the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. When you want to accomplish that aim or purpose, or when you want to achieve the results of what you wanted or hoped for. So according to our contemporary world, when we try to make this purpose to define what we want with our parenting, what we want our children to be as a result of our parenting, we translate that by copying what success is. So we see if my child performs very well in school, I am successful. If my child behaves according to at least acceptable behavior, then I'm successful. If my child gets a job, gets a wife, gets married, or gets a husband and is wedded, doesn't get pregnant at home, many of us line up. That becomes the aim of our parenting, and it becomes the purpose of our parenting, and we attach our pride to that as our outcome. Now, for us to be able to really align, because frustration and disappointment in anything is based on your expectations. What expectations do you have of yourself as a parent? And for us to copy what happens in Uganda or in your tribe, or what happens, you're copying what happens in that particular context, in the wider context of the family, and define that as success, you are going to be frustrated and disappointed. And I'm so grateful to the person who shared about the conflict of expectation, and that is likely to drive bad blood between the child and the parent, and then the parent will feel like they were a failure. So I have tried to provide a standard definition by using the Bible as the standard. I know many people here, we might be mixed, some don't believe in the Bible, but the principles are the same. What is the standard? What's your standard? You need to have a clear standard and definition of what parenting is, or what is success for you. And here we see in the Bible, we're told that do what the Lord your God commands and follow his teachings. Obey everything written in the law. Then you'll be a success no matter what you do or where you go. So if you want to be a successful person in anything, it is important that you have clear pegs defining success, and they better be standard, not just changing, because otherwise when you change neighborhood and your neighbor's children are becoming engineers, then you start measuring the success of your children. If when they didn't become engineers and instead they became social scientists, or they did a diploma and went into beauty, then you are thinking, oh, well, I'm not successful, because you were basing on an environment. I've found that having my definition anchored in the Bible gives it stability, and you will see a little bit. The second thing I want to talk about is what is parenting. I have only 3 children, biological. I think I have raised maybe 20 or so or more, and I still have a lot of them. So what is parenting? Also, we need to have that definition. Many people are parents biologically because they give birth to children, or they father children, but they're really not parents. They don't understand what parenting is. So parenting is the process of raising and educating a child from birth until childhood. Now, I put educating in here because that's the main role. The raising is the providing physiologically, the physical needs that the person needs. But the biggest responsibility of a family is educating the child's spirit. It's educating this person's mind. and directing him in a particular direction. And this is usually done in a family. It could be done by a biological parents, but it could also be done by other people in the absence of biological parents, even sometimes in the presence. And we usually have a natural, the mother defined as the natural or social female parent. These days, there's a lot of confusion, and your children, you are talking about getting confused, they are even getting more confused, because now a mother can be a man, and your children are taking in all this. If you don't prepare them for it to differentiate, to tell what's right and wrong, they will be really confused. And then the father is traditionally the male parent of the child. It could be, again, a biological father, or it could be a functional or social male figure who is available to do these roles. So that the whole environment of nurturing, raising this person, providing for them the needs, those ones in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but more educating this person to become an adult who knows who they are and who is poised to be successful in life, is the bigger role that parenting does. So here, parents provide physical, emotional, spiritual needs. You are responsible for leading your child to Christ. You provide a practical knowledge about life. You teach the children discipline. You train them to do hard, productive work. That is one of the sources of some of the things that you are asking. The children are not trained to do the hard work because of you transferring your responsibility to an institution called school. An institution called school has become an idol, and it has become the destroyer. All these things here you're talking about are a result of parents delegating their responsibility to school. So providing a role model, showing how the children translate the instruction you give them into exact ways of life. Many of us want our children to live as if we say as I say, but not just do as I say. Not as I do. Do we have a structure in the home where you as a parent, you're held accountable to the standards that you set for the children? If you're not a participant in those standards, then you cannot parent the children that way. Now, I want to talk about parenting with a purpose. In my definition of success, I put there something that it's when you achieve a purpose, Now, the majority of us parents, we don't have a purpose, a defined purpose of our parenting. And because we don't have that defined, most of the complaints that I hear, the children are disrespectful, the children don't obey us, the children don't want advice, is because we are simply randomly picking things from the environment. We did not define why are we parenting our children. What do we want to see in the children? You as a parent, each one of us is here for a different purpose, and those children are here, but there has to be a defined purpose why you are parenting. What do you want to see in the children? Again, I said that when we are surrounded with the world, we'll try to pick a lot of stuff, and we put that in our definition of success. I want to invite you, dear parent, that you need to get rid of all those expectations, because I'm telling you, those expectations of your child are in their past. Your life, the one you lived, the standards you lived, the way you practiced those principles, it is in history. These children are living in the future. They are living not only the present is going to be their past. So you are supposed to prepare that child to live in the context of the future. The majority of us spend a lot of time preparing our children for the past, because we are trying to have them behave the way we behaved. We are trying to have them do the things we did. We are trying to really fix them, pick the principles out of those things. For example, my mother raised me, and those things I narrate in the Bible, and as you use in the book, and as you use my book, make sure that you always reach that point as you're discussing with the children. How can we apply these principles in our exact context? I keep telling people, I was telling people that my daughter really hates spilling matoke. Why? Because of the sap. So am I going to insist that she knows how to peel it, but she hates peeling the matoke? In her future, she can design a future without peeling matoke. So I could destroy my relationship with her because I'm trying to fix her to peel matoke. She's seated right here, so she's listening. I'm trying to teach her to peel matoke, but I can train her the principles which are important in being a good manager of our home and making sure that meals are prepared properly in time. Actually, most of the children disconnect from matoke, not because they hate eating it, but because they don't even want to acclimatize to it, to see their future going through the horror of cooking matoke the way we cooked it. Now, many of you are going to disagree with me because you spend a lot of your time trying to train your children to live the life that you lived. That is our history, parents. So how can you answer these questions? Have you defined what would make you feel successful as a parent? There is so much invested in being a parent. It's so bad that you cannot measure at the end in a standard way whether you achieved, whether you are successful or not, because you are basing on things which are going to change. The young man in Germany who shared that, for him, he wanted something different, and the parents want something different. So the parents are likely to feel failures because their son did not end up as a doctor, as an engineer, as a lawyer, so that they can also stand together. But have you defined, and we shall share a few things towards the end. And then what have you based those things on? I have had parents telling me, this one is going to be an engineer. This one is going to be a doctor. This one is going to be what? We define. My daughter has to marry such and such a man. My son has to have a such and such a person. I think you need to define what you're basing those definitions on, because the future, most of the professions we knew, which would make us successful if we were to peg, they're not going to exist for our children. They're not there. So how will you feel successful? Do you have the right purpose for raising your child? And let me refer again to that definition of success. If your child can learn to love the Lord their God, and they learn how to live by the principles set out by God in their lives, it does not matter then how they express it in the future. I want to skip and go to this slide. These are principles, and I would like us to know as parents, and they are going to guide us. My oldest son is 22, and my youngest is now 17. I'm slowly exiting adolescence. So although I have not gone to be a grandparent, at least up to that point, but many of those I have raised have married and they have children. And I'll soon be having great-grandchildren. So one is, children belong to God, and we are just custodians. Your child does not belong to you. Sorry to disappoint you, because this is the biggest disappointer. Because you think that your child belongs to you, And your success, your personal success in life depends on the success of this child, in how this child turns out. We load our children with totally unnecessary things and expectations. Children are to be prepared for a future. So our expectations of what they are going to come is kind of going to be their history. The future, we don't know. Actually, they are better able, if better guided, they are better able to participate in creating their future than us. We should know that we are here as custodians, we are caretakers, we look after the children. If my children don't turn out the way I listed, it doesn't mean I'm a failure. Those children, each child, each individual has a purpose in their hearts. And God has designed that purpose. And I am just a vessel that was used to bring this child in the world. And I have been entrusted with the custody to guide them to God. So our work is to prepare these children so that they can prepare to have God in their hearts. And then that pair, God and that child, once we have connected the two and we do our instructing, they will be fine. Even if they don't go according to our expectations, those two will be fine. So we need to raise the children the way we should. And that is worship to God, because he has entrusted them with us. And when we do that, it attracts God. I'm afraid that many of us Christians, the way we raise our children drives them very far from God. We are rigid. We are so, we are so judgmental. We set such, and when these children, they obey these things when they're in Sunday school, once they start emerging and having their own will and mind, and they don't see the logic for all your limitations, and you call that disobedience, the child, and that begins to generate conflict between us. However, if we do it well, then these children will find their own level in God, and they'll find their own interpretation of the principles. They will dialogue with God, and they will define a path. And if I am going to be correct, the majority of you kind of did not live your life according to your parents' expectations. You have had some kind of divergence from your parents. So we needed to raise them in constant consultation with God. And again, I want to repeat, many of us parents see our role as really putting a rigid frame through which our children, they should live, so that we don't offload them into a profession, offload them into, please, your child's success is not a reflection of whether you are successful or not successful. Some of us who are successful, many of people here are successful despite poor parenting. Our role should be to guide these people. Whether your child is judged as failure, I've seen parents either really tormenting the children because the child didn't perform as well in school and they were beaten. The parent is feeling so downcast, they stick them into a lot of grilling with the coaching so that that child can also perform as well. And because we do that, we disconnect the children. We take their time away from us. The greatest educator of a child is the parent. So each parent must define what successful parenting will look like. The Bible gives a few general principles in parenting, but you must define the principles. What is it that you like, that you want? And it is the definition of some of the things that helped my mother. She knew what she wanted to raise her children, not because she didn't know professions, she didn't know, she wasn't very educated. She focused on giving us principles and illustrating those principles the way she was living, but leaving room for us to make our own decisions, training us to make decisions in the future so that we are free. We don't, I can imagine, I know she trained us, as you read in the book, she trained us to do some businesses. But if she insisted those are the businesses we should do, we would definitely have broken away from her. I wouldn't be selling Menvu now. But she gave me principles, which until recently, even a week before she died, we were discussing. They can transcend my life. I can see my young people are saying, yes. Now, what do I mean by parenting? You defining the aim of parenting. I just want to share ourselves as a family. This is a picture which is totally changed. I am the shortest person in the home now. So those young guys, those guys in black are much taller than their father, and because this was taken some time ago. And but I'm just showing that as a family, although my mother didn't bringing it down to writing down, but for me, as in translating the principle, we sat down and together with the children, even before we had the children, and as the children have come, we have a family mission. And this family mission, we discuss it, we agree upon it together. Every member has an equal say in this mission, especially now that they have grown. But even before we had children, me and my husband, we sat down and said, what do we want to do? What do we really want to, when we are raising a family, what do we want? And this is the only thing that we have, which is rigid. That as a family, we are committed to serving God by motivating, counseling, and mentoring God's people into successful living. And we started educating our children on this mission. And it wasn't as short as this. As parents, we had a very long one. The children came in and they edited and said no. And so we have a core that each one of us, irrespective of what we end up being professionally or what we end up being in life, we are always to be committed to service, because that's our principle. Whether you're doing your job, your business, your what. So we defined a mission. So as me and Michael, what the definition of success is to see if we have trained our children to understand that their mission is to serve using the gifts that they have, that their mission is to help people. Their mission is to touch other people's lives. That is as broad as it is. So my daughter has an online business. She does a lot of, what are those, YouTube and Instagram. I keep forgetting Instagram. She keeps trying to take me there, but she has a lot of that, and she gives motivations to people. My sons, they are, for them, they're not as outgoing, but in the things that they do, they have that. Beyond that, we don't dictate what our children are going to become. We support and we help to build their spirit. We help to build and this arises from my mother. So let me share a little bit from my mother's parenting style, which has kind of been now moved to my era, and my children possibly will take it to their era. This is the book that we are talking about. And again, you can order it from Afroshinda. The link is there. The book is 20,000 with delivery. So we'll deliver it to you at 20. If you want to take care of your own delivery, it's 15,000. We will send it to you and you pay the delivery fee. My daughter is reminding me, but you'll find those details on her platform. Now, these are the lessons from my mother's parenting style. And I'll let us straight with a few stories. One, teach principles of success in life as part and parcel of day-to-day living. Children hate lectures. Children hate, I know I have a few lectures, I do. Now that we are grown up, sometimes they pick a few things, but let the principles be seen in day-to-day life. Even if you have a lecture, then have a process of translating those principles in life, so that they know how you translate, but at points they will come and ask you, and you are able to try and help them to see how they translate it in their own context, in their own life. Please, parents, your time when you were a child is history. It's not in the context of where you're building the children now. Don't try to raise them the way you were raised. I've seen parents who are always saying, for me, when I was your age, my children told me, well, you didn't have a mother who is a presidential advisor or who is working with the World Health Organization. We have our parents are not your parents. So how do I translate these principles? Use your day-to-day life now. Use contemporary situations and context. It is the responsibility of the parent to move into the future. It's not the responsibility of the child to move into your past. And that's what my mother taught us. You know, she used what was there now to teach us hard work, how to organize, to pass the lessons. I want to repeat, parents, it's your responsibility to move into the future where your children are living. Translate yourself as a child. Imagine you were your child's age and you were living today. What will you do? One of the things I remember when I was thinking, okay, my mother would sit us down in the kitchen and tell us all these stories, and she would tell us stories as we were cooking. And I was like, now, how do I do that to my children? So I went and looked in the bookshop for books which relate to them and carry the principles. And one of the books I found which related to the lessons that my mother taught me was a book called 7 Habits of Happy Kids. 7 Habits of Happy Kids. Now, if at that stage, it is written by Sean Covey, the son of Stephen Covey. And it was a kid's book. So we would sit there and start, you know, they would read. Some of them were reading, others were not able to read, but we would lie on the floor and we are looking 7 habits of happy kids. The first habit is to be proactive. It is called make your own fun, what they put in there. And then they will come and say, Mommy, I'm bored. Maybe it's not really time for cartoons, and say, what is the first habit of happy kids? Make your own fun. Can we make our own fun? And we would go and start, you know, making toys together, or they bring their blocks and we begin to make our own fun. And that is I couldn't take them back to what my mother did, but for them, they could make their own fun. So use the contemporary situation. Many of us find it difficult to translate ourselves into today where our children are living. Be willing to take risks with some of your assets to allow the children to learn. Now, the majority of us are so protective of our gadgets. I remember one time I was going through Dubai and I bought a very expensive toy for my daughter. And my daughter, unlike other, can I tell them? Okay, I've got permission. My daughter, unlike, I have 2 boys and 1 daughter. My daughter is the destructive one. She was the destructive one. And I bought this toy, very expensive. And when I brought my daughter and started pulling it apart, I came and found my husband and hidden it in the bedroom. I was like, it is It's her toy. It's like, but she's breaking it. It is expensive. But the issue is, children learn. Let's take some risks with some of the things and allow the children to learn, allow the children to explore. My mother allowed us to access the family capital. If you read the book, I mean, the family capital it wasn't much money. And I tell you that we lost it over and over. But we went to her with business plans, which were not proved. And she'll tell you, okay, now this is the family capital. And sometimes would want to be independent and make decisions, and then would lose the family capital. And we all knew the consequences, because we're not going to have salt, we're not going to have soap to wash our clothes. Allow the children to participate in your life. Many of us get up in the morning, we disappear from home, and then in the evening we show up stressed, tired. The children have no idea what you do. They don't know where you're going. Can you take your children to some of those meetings and let them see what a meeting is like? I have had the habit of employing my children as my assistants. They always accuse me of not paying them. But so many of us are too protective with our reputation, with our, but my mother allowed us to play around with the very important things. So let the children learn from you in practical sense. The other one is linking hard work to direct benefits that matter to the child. Now, we link a lot of hard work to schoolwork. And when the child finishes school, there's nothing at the end of it. It's just, what is the hard work going to produce? So my mother's parenting style was to link hard work to why we do things, to the success, to the benefit. You work hard to get a dress. Once you have made a promise, do not retreat. If you promise something, you have to do it. You have to, no matter how hard. And there is a phrase that my mother used to say in our life.
Hello, doctor.
Aaron, are we okay?
I think there's a challenge with her network, but I know that she'll be back. Yes, okay. She has stepped out, I think. Go ahead, Mama Tendo, maybe you can make a comment.
Yes. It's quite an interesting approach to parenting, linking the unchanging principles to the changing times. The unchanging principles of hard work, the unchanging principles of innovativeness, and linking them and linking the principles, because the circumstances and the times may change, but the principles do not change. I think that is something key that I am getting from the doctor's presentation. Yes. Aaron, do we have her back?
Yes,
okay, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, I was jumping from one network to another. So link, because many of us in this time, and I'm going to appear really hard on parents, the only thing our children link hard work to is success in school. And when they have achieved in the contemporary world, they are out of school, they just don't know how to translate that into livelihood, because we did not teach them the multiple ways. And they learned through school a lot of harsh discipline, rules were set, and the timetable was set for you. They don't explain why the timetable is set, so that later in life, you can set your own timetable. You know how to do it. So when we stick our children in school, and this is the biggest challenge that I have found, even during COVID, I thought that parents would be happy to have their children a little bit at home to interact with them. The majority of us don't have enough time to interact with the children. Now, with this time, I'm not meaning the length of time. I've always been an absentee mother most of the time, but the contact time you have with the children must make sense. And so because I was always traveling, my children have never been in boarding school. Actually, from 2012, they have been homeschooled. But even before that, I just said, I'm not going to allow any other person to help me achieve the purpose of raising my children. Because I am the parent, I'm the custodian, I'm the one who has been entrusted. So even when you have little time, the time you have with the child, what are you sharing with that child? What have you built with that child? So my mother kept us with her, and she passed on lessons in that context. As we are peeling the matoke, she'll be passing on lessons. You know, when you do this, even you peel a banana, a toke, and you leave on some things, and she'll say, you know what, you have to learn to be a careful person in life, because in the future, you will be doing very important things. The way you look at this toke and you peel it and it is clean and it is nice for people to eat, that's how you should look at all the things, the other things you do in life. So you use that, the principles, then show support to the child's area of interest. Now, this is the biggest problem with parents now. Most parents want their children to live for them their unfulfilled parts of their goals. I didn't become an engineer, so I want my son to become an engineer. Or your pride is not finished. It is not. No, these children are independent of us, my dear friends. That child I've told you is independent. That child has their passion inside them. They have their vision inside them. Your goal is to help that child to unveil, discover, and develop themselves. So sometimes children show interest in particular things, and we keep adding them, keep driving them to what we want. You keep, and especially if you're a parent who is so rigid, you're just sticking to the so many 30 different professions. Anytime when your child says, I want to be a dancer, you feel like you have lost your entire world. Why don't you go to the dancing practices with a child? Again, I'll use my daughter because she's the one here. And the other ones haven't asked permission from them, but this one is here. I am always looking for approval whether I can share. We went through so many things. When you show your child that you are interested in what their interest is, you are interested, even that might change, but you are interested in supporting them, not in you seeing them do what you want. Then the children become more available. So these are things I hear the parents saying that these children know a lot and they don't want to be advised. Have you taken time to give your child a safe space so that they tell you exactly what they want, not what you want, but what they want? And what they want might look ridiculous to you, but show interest. Even if you don't support it, show interest. But it is working together that will create that friendship that is going to help you to help that child. Instead of you, I think on Mama Tendo one time I read when I used to spend a lot of time reading Mama Tendo things. These days, my time is so cordoned, I hardly appear on the platform. But I read there one time a mother who was saying, I threw out my son's science project and I felt more pain than the child. Well, again, the way to parent is to walk into your child's future. Demonstrate and model the behavior. Again, model the principles. Kneeling is not respect. Most of you, when you say the children have no respect, is you are saying, oh, they don't kneel for visitors. Yes, if you can train them to do that, but I tell you, in where they live, where they spend, where they interact, they don't kneel. And where the time is going to come when they are going to say. So what is respect? Is it kneeling, or is there a definition of respect? What's the principle behind respect? Because it is going to change. For me, when I was growing up, my mother taught us what respect is in the context. But I also learned how to translate that into my new context where I live. How do I show respect to another minister? It's not by kneeling down. How do I show respect to the president? The president, if you kneel down, will even be irritated with you, this current president. How do I show respect? So it is going to change, but you model and demonstrate how you respect other people. Then if she demonstrated financial independence and how you work and get money, and she modeled it, she lived it. My mother never complained, and I get so irritated by complainers. I am so impatient. I've had to learn to manage myself because I just can't see why people complain instead of thinking about a solution, because that's exactly how I've been raised. And I could make a decision when I'm at school instead of complaining and acting. There is a story taught in the book by my pastor. I didn't write it myself, but I had given this testimony. So he wrote in the book how instead of complaining how they are sending me away from school, you think of solutions. And my mother demonstrated that. So demonstrate, model the behavior. If you want your child to respect other people, then when you come home, you are screaming at the maid. You're shouting at the maid. You are calling the maid stupid. You are reacting to anything. So how will that child, the child will look, they will follow, but inside they are learning something else. Then push them a little further at a time. Push them. Let the children take risks. Extend the boundaries so that they keep improving. Recently, I've been a little bit protective of my children because of changing and people who might want to hurt me. But I will give, okay, I will not tell the story of my son. Again, I'll tell of my daughter. Putting them, they grew up being driven and they are taken everywhere by their parents. They are taken to school, they are picked, then they were brought home. But pushing them a little bit further, putting them on a taxi and somehow keeping an eye, but letting them go through the stress of getting back home. And you congratulate them when they come, you recognize they have won. I have a positive angle to parenting. And I see all the children that I have parented, including those who come into my home, they change from rebellion. Rebellion is a result of the method of parenting. We are defensive as parents because we think that our children's behavior is a reflection of us. So we become, we react instead of staying calm and seeing how to handle. Even if I'm going to spank the child, we set principles very early. And this is how my mother did. my mother would send us, I would tell you, you didn't do your work, fine. So what does the Bible say? Whoever doesn't work doesn't eat. So you are going to sit there where I can see you when I'm doing work, and you not go to the neighbors because you did not work. I want you to know what it feels when you don't work. You are not going to eat. You are not going to look for mangoes or fene or oranges. You're not going to eat at your grandmother's. You are going to sit there, and she will cook food, and she will serve, and she will not give it to you. You sit there. You can cry. You can do what? I'm telling you, you will think twice before you do anything like that. So she's like, but many of us, you will react so angry. You will be talking to the child as if, you smack the child. The child doesn't know why you are smacking them. Children take a lot of, for example, the concept of time. Children take a long time to perceive time. 10 years is when the children begin to see the relationship. Distance, children don't have a good sense of distance. But when a child goes and delays somewhere, you rush, you scream. No, that doesn't. You see, parenting is about discipline. Discipline is helping someone to learn to do what they are supposed to do, when they are supposed to do it, how they are supposed to do it. And that takes patience, and that takes tact, and it takes you seeing that you are raising this individual. If you send a child to do something, you are sending that child to do that thing, not because you want that chore done. You could as well do it yourself. You are sending that child because you want to train that child to do the chore. So without being too long, then discuss issues related to work. Discuss issues related to work. And there is this Njabara story which I've also used telling my children. It has been, and that is, anytime I had mommy tell us stories, we lie on the same bed and I tell them the story of Njabara, and it keeps growing. When they were very young, you keep it very short and tell them only the little things. Well, as they grow, you grow it and grow the consequences. So discuss issues related to work. My mother used to tell us many stories about the benefits of hard work and consequences. I am a bank of stories because my mother would tell us, I think she made up most of them. Some of them she picked these ones which were common, but many of them she just made them up. And she would tell us, and then you don't want to be like that. Like with my daughter, especially when we are passing mid-age, whatever there, and we are saying, I don't want to, are you going to be in Njabara? No, I'm not in Njabara. I say, okay, my daughter is not in Njabara now. What does people who are not in Njabara do? And provide children's reading materials and discuss with them. Then make time to help them apply those principles. So I had, for example, when I wanted the children not to be lazy intellectually, but to be researchers, to be people who discover information, I set a role. And my mother always, she taught us this in a different way, but I applied a principle and I put a rule of, there's a stage when children are really asking questions. They ask questions. And some of the questions are like, Mommy, is that a bus? Or is that, they know it, but they ask it. As they grew up a little bit, I set a quota. Was it 20 per month? 20, yeah, I started by giving 20 direct answers per day. So if you finish your 20 answers from Mommy, then you have to find out. So the kids would have to think, should I ask this or should I go and find out from my friend or from somewhere? And they have grown up to be researchers. Then get them enrolled into some activities that will stretch them, and when they fail, when they want to withdraw, encourage them to stay, teach them how to work as a team, teach children how to work as a team. Now, our children go through a lot of competition in school. There are no stable friendships. That's why your children don't even trust you as a stable friend, because in school, as they go through teenage, there are no stable friendships. They make this friend, they find out that friend is talking about them. They make this, they find out there is instability. I have determined to be my children's best friend. My goal and my indicator was, if my daughter has a crush, even at 9, has a crush on either some boy or girl, can they come and say, Mommy, you know what? I have a crush. And yeah, so they call me the cool mom. You can tell me anything, and I'm not going to yell or scream or think you are the biggest sinner. And the Christian parents are the biggest culprits with this. You are so moralistic with your children, you literally drive them into secrecy, you know? You drive your children into secrecy, and they begin hiding things and sharing them with their friends who don't. Why don't let my kid come to me and say, Mommy, I like that boy. And I'm like, wow, why do you like him? So this is cute and what? I'm like, wow, tell me more about it. We'll talk through it until that says, you know, he doesn't look so cute anymore. And like, oh, okay, those things happen. And I tell them my own. Some of us are such angels before our children that they cannot relate with us. They can't relate with who they look at their own. They have a crush on it. They are only 9 and they have a crush on their teacher. They have a crush on that boy in class. And for us, we are so moral. We are so clean. You know, we never had those things. So the child is like, if I tell my mother, she'll be disappointed with me, she'll be unhappy with me, she'll be, you know, your boy has a crush on a girl, even the maid, you know, your young early teenage 9-year-olds will have a crush on the maid because the maid is always there. And can they come and tell you, Mommy, I have these feelings for our maid? And they know you'll keep their secrets, and they know that you are not going to be disappointed in them, and they know that you are not going to, you know, so encourage the children to have a vision. I can see I am connecting with some friends here. Yeah, can we create that safe zone? Let's stop treating the children as if they do not have a say in their lives. They have a say in their lives. These children are going through exactly, you fathers here, you had crushes on those young girls every day. Why is it so sinful for your son to have a crush? And why can't they come and ask you, Daddy, when you have a crush on a girl, what do you do? You know, why can't, have you built that environment? Especially the fathers, you have put up this macho thing. The best way to parent in the modern age is to be your child's best friend. To be the bestie, the one who hears, the one who listens to them, the one who will lie with them on their room, on their bed, and listen and smile at their stories and go back down and pick out a story from their life, how childhood, how did you handle this yourself? You know, I remember chatting with my daughter, telling her, you know, when I was a kid like this, when I was like this, I did this. And she's like, Mommy, are you sure? Yeah, I didn't just grow up and become an angel here. You help the child to walk through that stage of life because you have walked there, and the principles that took you through can be applied now. Even when you made mistakes, you can share from your mistake, and your kid will, that is what develops friendship.
Excuse me, Honorable.
But if you are so poorly, I'm finishing. This is the last slide. Encourage your children to have a vision.
Yes, thank you very much. Fine.
Yeah, this is my last slide. Encourage the children to have a vision. Keep teaching them early in life, and don't make it your vision. Let them grow, understand their interests. Let them write down their interests, understand their passions. And I have 3 children. Nobody's interested in anything related to being a doctor. And their dreams may change, and it is okay. And pray together. Let the children know your concerns about your work, about money. My mother shared with us all these things, and I have used it to share I remember when I was losing a job in 2012 and things were going to change. I had to sit down and discuss with the children. So don't hide your struggles. It will help them to know that others struggle. So thank you for listening to me. These are the lessons that I picked up from my mother. You can read the detailed stories in the book. If you pay 15,000, we'll send you the book, you'll pay the shipping. Thank you very much. Now, allow me to respond to give my views to some of the issues. The first is balance the children's visions and parents' wishes. The issue is, as a parent, you don't have a wish in the child's life, apart from training them to achieve their vision and to know their vision and to mentor their vision and to guide their vision. Now, many of us make our children live with a lot of guilt because we want them to live our vision. Your role is to help the child discover their vision, train them in the principles that are going to help them to be successful, nurture them, help them to be godly people, to depend on God. Please, your vision, leave it for the rest of your years, which are left, and finish. Children are entitled and disrespectful. This is a challenge to many of us. We think that the children are disrespectful because the children are exposed to a lot of information, and that's a reality. We are not going to wish it away. When I was a young parent, people are telling me, shut off the TV now. How are you going to shut off the telephones? And even if some of you, your children have phones and you don't know, these children will get these phones from their friends. They go to school, they will have their friends' phones. So it doesn't really, the issue is teach the child the principles of life. Teach them the principles. And there are 60 virtues in the Bible expressed by Jesus. I can share, Mama Tendo, that list. We have gone through some of these things with my children, and we keep discussing and discussing. My mother took us through them with the Bible, not in such an orderly manner, but that's where I learned the principle. What is hard work? You know, there are 60 principles. I have the list filtered. I can be able to share with you and you share with the participants and start to discuss the needs from children are entitled because they are going to get into their friends, so they don't know the principles of money and they want things that their friends have. If you are the best friend and you're talking to your child at home, that child is instead going to look at those things. We were studying, what is it called? There's a game we were playing from yours. We played Monopoly. I sit in being busy as I am. When I'm at home, we'll play Monopoly. We'll play, there is a game called Rat Race. It was developed by Kiyosaki, and there's a version for children. And the children begin to understand that you don't just buy gadgets. So the entitlement comes from a failure to understand the principles of success in life. And by age 3, really a child can start picking up things. The other question was the peer pressure. The adolescent peer pressure. If you have been there first in your child's life, by the time they are adolescents, you have pressure, the peer pressure will be nullified. I remember my kid was in P3, one of my children was in P3, and she was in class, and the teacher kind of abused her, that you must be a fool. You look at this fool, you must have been, born on April 1st. And she stood up and smiled and said, thank you, teacher. Actually, I'm not a fool because my mother says that I'm not. And my birthday is December 15th. Respectively, but confidently. So when you teach your children to have values early, by the time they're adolescents, those values have taken root. They'll be able to withstand anything. Actually, I haven't suffered anything from adolescents' disobedience, but we suffer a lot from parent peer pressure. And the parental peer pressure damages the relationships with our children because you want to treat your children the way other people are treating their children. This one, they know much, too much, and they don't want to listen to advice. I have discovered, because I'm in that stage, my kids know so much. So I turn them into an asset. I use the information they have, and they serve me with their information. And when they find they are useful, then they're always correcting me, and I am okay with that. I am correctable. Parent, you don't know it all. Please calm down. You don't know it all. And the child knowing more is not an insult. Please listen to the child. When I started going to school, I knew more than my mother, and I would go home and train the team in the things. So and then don't preach to the children. Don't preach. The moment the child comes up and you're like, you're lazy, you don't want to do work, what, it won't work. We have to sit down and teach the principles, and then bring in that situation and say, for example, in this situation, what are you supposed to do? My concluding statement is parenting in this generation requires patience. It requires mastering principles, and it requires understanding that the children are not living out your future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Musenero. Thank you so much for sharing with us useful information on parenting and what you have been able to do as a family. It is just incredible. Building a team. I can see a team you have built in your own home in spite of being a busy mom, and principles that you learned from your own mother. Thank you very much. We have two people who are going to give short remarks about the presentation. And I would like to invite Pamela. Pamela, are you online? Mrs. Tumwebaze?
Hello, Mama Tendo.
Yes, please.
Yes, I sent you a message. Pamela was experiencing network challenges, so I don't see her on. Neither do I see Christine on. So I suggest we go straight for Q&A.
Okay. Christine, I had seen her on Nsubuga.
Oh, okay.
Christine Nsubuga, are you on?
That is Birabwa?
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Christine Birabwa Nsubuga, are you on?
Yeah, I see she's on.
You can see her, Aaron?
Yes, sure.
Yes, Mama Tendo, I'm here, but I couldn't unmute myself.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Christine. Can we hear from you key learning lessons from the talk that Dr. Musenero has given to us regarding parenting?
Thank you very much, Mama Tendo, for the opportunity to summarize what I have learned from Dr. Musenero. Thank you, Dr. Musenero, for the very enriching parenting seminar. I'm going to run through, I've learned a lot and I've noted a lot, but I'm going to run through quickly to give you what I have summarized and learned. First of all, I've learned that parenting is not something you just fall into. It is not something you just fall into. You have to be purposeful about it. I think in today's world where, many parents struggle with really just getting by. But I've learned here that everything has to be well thought through. We don't just fall into it. We have to be purposeful. We have to find a way to parent our children. So the first question is, what does parenting success look like to me or to you for that matter? You have to cast the vision, look at what you think success will be, and then work towards that. Set a standard and let it be consistent. Let that standard not be changing with the times, And for Christians, they gave us 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 3, But even if you're not Christians, everybody believes in something. Go there. Go to, if it's the Quran, go there. If it is some other book, go there and find it. If it's, it will give you something. But for the Christians, they've given us 1 Corinthians 2, verse 3. So when we model consistency, the children will learn from that. So from here, I thought, do you have family values? Do you as a family have family values? What are those things that are important to you that you want your children to have? So for example, in my family, we have the family values of being Christ-centered, of being people of integrity, of being people that keep time, and of being people that pursue excellence in everything we do. It doesn't mean it works all the time, but we repeat it again and again, almost every evening when we are praying, we repeat it. How did we manage today? So that we, it imprints on the minds of our children. Define what will make you feel successful, but don't base it on the past. She talked a lot about us wanting our children to live in the past. Ours was in the past. What we must train our children for the future. We must train our children for the future. We must not base our training on the past. Our parents did this, did that. We will be training them on outdated things. Okay. We must nurture our children spiritually. I think I've talked about that's the most important. The principles we give them should not be tasks, should not be activities, should be principles to live by. We should nurture our children spiritually, and God will sort them. We don't need to worry about what it will be like in the future. We see the times ahead very complicated, but once we've nurtured them spiritually, God is going to take care of them. We must nurture them to work hard. Not our expectations. It shouldn't be about, oh, I want my child to be a lawyer, I want them to be an engineer. No, we should give them God's principles. And then those principles are what they will live by, even when we are not there, when they've grown up. Let's not be rigid. Let's not be judgmental. Let us talk to our children. Let us discuss. And also very important, let us be accountable as parents. What our children see, what we say is what they should see us do. What we are inside, is what we should be outside, in the darkness and outside. If you don't want your children to drink, you can't be drinking or hosting drinking parties. That's an example. What is your parenting purpose? Guide your children. Don't just force them into something. You are their primary educator, not the school. Define what success looks like to you. What do you want to see in your children in the future? Give them what they need to succeed, not just tasks. Don't command them to be, but give them, I call it emotional intelligence. Give them spiritual grounding. She gave us a book for our little children, if we have them, 7 Habits of Happy Kids. Please find it and help the children to read it. Teach them multiple ways of hard work, not just school and academics, but hard work comes in many forms. Teach them all of it. Invest time, however little, into your children. She's an absent mom most of the time, but she's there when she's there. Be present. Don't be on your WhatsApp. Don't be on the phone when you're at home. The little time you have, be present. Be intentionally present. Keep your promises to your children. Model the behavior you want to see. Don't just talk and do different. Teach them respect, but not to say kneel down to show respect. Respect comes from the heart. Teach them financial independence. Help them to work with money and help them to be accountable. Teach them the benefits of hard work and the consequences of laziness. Work with your children to apply the principles you've trained them on. If you want them to be good cooks, don't tell them to be good cooks and not cook with them, for example. Be your child's best friend. Then they'll tell you about the crushes they've had, about the boyfriend they like, and things like that. And you'll be able to talk back and forth. Even when they are older, play with them. Do board games, for example. Be in your child's life. Do you have family values? What is your own style? Pray together. Speak into their lives what you want to see in them. Thank you very much.
Wow, Christine. Thank you very much. Christine Birabwa Nsubuga is an arbitration lawyer. That means if you have cases where you don't want to go to court and want to settle them another way, that is the work she does. So you can contact her, whether it's marriage issues or settling land issues or whatever problems they are. She's an arbitration lawyer, and she helps in that way. We've been working a lot together, helping the women on Mama Tendo Forum and families to settle their conflicts peacefully, instead of running to the already overloaded courts to try and settle things out. So thank you so much, Christine, for those highlights. Very, very, very important. And she has listed them very well. And I just want to say something to point out about what some parents may be thinking, for example. Something about guiding the children. One of the things, we are guiding them to the future, yes, but we are also using lessons from our past. We have lessons. What makes us parents is we are more experienced, and in some aspects of life, we stand on the roof of the house. So don't be afraid to guide your child with the wisdom that God has given you, because you may think that I'm imposing on my child something that they should not be doing. I believe there should be a merger, a merger. If we are not loading on our child that you must be a lawyer, you must be this, and you must be this, but you take your space of guidance as a child without choking it down your child to accept something. Because I also believe that young people, sometimes there's so much going around, there's so much excitement in the heart, there's so much discovery in the heart, and for sure some are very confused. So as a parent, you are a student of your child, you study your child. If you see a child has certain abilities, certain talents, certain giftings, but this child totally wants to take a path that is really opposite from those giftings and talents and abilities. I believe as a parent, if you sat down your child and you went through a SWOT analysis of defining their strength and the SWOT analysis, and then showing the child how strong they are in certain things and the advantage of them standing with their strength, I think that is also proper guidance. What I'm saying is that we are training our children for the future. But again, as parents, there is knowledge, there is experience that we have that we should also apply. We should not be afraid. We should not be afraid to guide our children and to make suggestions. But what we should never do is to push things down their throat and bend their necks. That is quite wrong. But for guidance, I think it's proper that we give guidance whenever we can, because young people are prone to making mistakes as well. They are prone to, they can as well waste family resources if not guided well. So it's very important that we also look into that. I'm going to hand over to you, to Aaron. Probably will take about 5 more questions because Doctor has already answered a number of questions. Her book is here. I have read it. It's very good. There are so many things she hasn't shared, that which principles you can be able to use in your family and apply them in that time. So please, I'm asking that we post that link so that people can be able to know and be able to order for this book. So please post the link. And then also, please post our Mama Tendo YouTube channel so that people can be able to subscribe. So we are building our profile. It's a new channel, so we need some more subscribers. Please, my team, post the link so that we can get some more subscribers and more followers on Twitter. And I would like to announce that apart from these seminars, which we are holding quarterly, we are going to have other forums where we are going to support parents, taking into consideration the age groups of the children. So we already have a group for expectant mothers, for mothers that are expecting their first baby. And in this group, we share with the mothers share, we give counsel to each other, and also experts come and give us advice. Marce, if you are online, please share that link of the expectant mothers so that those who are in that category can be able to link up. Then we also have another group of, we are going to start soon, of parents. It's a WhatsApp group of parents with children from 6 years and below. So in that group again, we will offer the parenting counsel and advice to parents who have children 6 years and below. Thank you very much. And now I'll hand over to Aaron, and in the next probably 10 minutes, we should be closing this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Mama Tendo. And thank you for, yes, those very, very insightful remarks that you have made. And I know that many people have been blessed. So, Dr. Monica, there are a number of questions that have already come up, and I'd like to read two of them. The first one was shared on the chat, that I expected to hear about how both parents share this responsibility of raising children, aka parenting. Sometimes the fathers watch and let moms struggle. They need to be guided to participate. Okay, that is one. And then a second one came in during your session. And Joanne was asking that at what stage or age do we say we have stopped parenting and we have done a good job? Many times we get disappointed after a long race of parenting, our children getting married in a happy matrimony, but then along the way, havoc breaks. And as parents, we blame ourselves for poor parenting. So I'd like to request the doctor, you can take those two, and then we will have one final batch of questions. Feel free to raise your hand, and then you can also drop it in the chat. But I know that there is an attendance link that I had shared earlier. We'd like to request each and every one of us that is on this meeting, Zoom meeting, please click that Google form. I have seen a number of us have already registered. Thank you very much. Mama Tendo Foundation would like your details. So just follow that attendance or registration link and you'll be in. Over to you, Dr. Monica.
Okay, thank you. Someone expected to see how parents share the roles of parenting. Because of time limitation, I had to focus my presentation. And I think the only thing I shared was what we did with my husband as a family. But definitely both parents, depending on your strengths, the marriage and sharing of roles is a different topic because the parents will contribute to the raising of the children based on their strengths and weaknesses. There is the physical raising of children, which I did not focus much on in this particular presentation. Of course, you have to provide for the children, you have to, but in principle, generally, it's important that you discuss how you want to raise the children. And many people want to parent from their background because that's the parenting they know. And when you have two backgrounds coming together, if you don't discuss and set some guidelines on how you're going to parent, it will bring conflict and you will cause the children to think that they can pitch mommy against daddy, or the children will lack a standard. They will lack a standard. So that is something that is agreed on based on time availability, based on the skills that you have, based on the talents, the gifts that you have. It should never be cast in stone that man, the father should do this, must do this, and the mother must do this. We have different realities that we live with in marriage, but the principle is sit down. Me and my husband, we discussed this even before we got married. When we have children, first the principles of running the family. How are we going to make big decisions? For example, if we disagree, not every nitty-gritty things, like, oh, who will make the bed and who will cook, those ones come, but the principal part of it, how do we make decisions? How do we make decisions? And how do we make some of these big decisions? When we disagree and the children are there, what should we do? Should we sort out the disagreement in their presence, or should we retreat and handle our disagreements? So, and then the providing, it also depends, like who is managing the money? Is everybody contributing, or how are you putting together things? So the key principle I can talk about is you sit down, whatever stage you are in your marriage, and however you are dealing with the children, make sure that you have some agreed principles on who is doing what. The second issue is, at what stage do we stop? My mother died this year when I was just short of turning 54. She was still my mother. She was still parenting. Actually, as many of you have seen this week, there has been a lot of horrible things about me, and all of them completely fake. Somebody stood up and said in Parliament that I stole money. And I was in my office, I was like, I need my mama, I just need my mother. She couldn't understand that, but I just need her protection. How do I handle? So never. And please, that's why you should always be your child's friend throughout life. Prepare yourself to be a friend. Know when to stand back and give them room to live their lives. Know when to catch them when they are falling. So you never stop being a parent. And again, the biggest role of a parent is to support their child. You may not protect them always from these bad things, but if your child's marriage has failed, can she find a place back, comfort and guidance and support from you to weather that? So you'll never stop being a parent.
Thank you very, very much, Mama Monica, Mama Musenero Masanza. Thank you very much for that response. Yes, we the fathers in the house, we have had, and the Lord will help us as we raise our children. Yes, I'd like to give, as promised, just one more round of questions. And I had seen someone with a gadget Bravo shoes with a hand up. You want to ask a question or make a comment, please unmute. The one with the gadget Bravo shoes.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure being part of this. My name is Mr. Brian, and I'm the CEO of Bravo Shoes. I appreciate Mama Tendo for all this. I've not been to this. I said today I should be part and be humble to listen. Very great presentation from Dr. Musenero, and these are things that we need. I'm a parent myself. My last born is coming 14 years, as my firstborn is coming to 17 years. And these are sons, only sons. My few remarks would be that, yes, parents, we should be able to teach our children, to nurture our children according to the latter day. When I call the latter days, that according to the current times, once, of course, we go backwards, we are going to have a lot of crash with these young children of these days. And another simple thing, parents, teach your children blissfulness and ecstasy. These are some of the simple things that children grow up knowing, that just having that deeper blissfulness in my life can make me go through all these challenges that are every day coming up. Then again, my last word is that parents, stop children living a life of competition. Life of competition has created a lot of problems in our children. Of course, this begins from our homes, where you tell a child you have to be the best, you have to be, on top of everyone. And this creates, which means when you're trying to promote, this kind of competition, you're trying to eliminate the bad. And where your child cannot perform the best, let's say in class or in anything, then these children lose a lot of self-esteem. They think their end, they've come to the end. Myself, I've brought up my sons that in a way that I never allow them to compete anywhere. Yes, they go in, they do their exams, they're in school, everything. Yes, whatever they bring out, that's their best. What I tell them is that, please, in life, consider what you've done as your best, but every day look at yourself as improving and doing the best for your own self. Don't allow anyone to judge you or use anything that you've had against you. And once we train these children, they will know that, yes, if an exam has failed for this child, they can be able to perform best in other fields, and show them that the world is not about competition. The best competition you can have is competing with your own self. Whenever you compete with your own self, means that you're trying to make yourself better for your own self, then you can be able to be accommodative in this world. Because when children, yes, attain whatever you tell them as a parent, and after reaching a certain, level, they start blaming the parents. It says, you told me this will lead me to whatever I want, but look at this, because the focus was, let me better than anyone else. And at the end of the day, sometimes we get a lot of disappointments at an old age, and then we end up missing it out, So thank you so much, guys. And I'm proud to be part of this meeting, and good deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Brian, CEO of Bravo Shoes. Excellent, excellent. Please continue coming and reach out to others and let them know about the good stuff that is here. Thank you for those wonderful comments. There's a question for you, Doctor, that how do you reconcile your statement, work for address and voluntary service, and versus corrupting the child? Yes, okay, that's a question that has come in via the chat. I think we've all seen that. Yes, thank you very much. Any other question? Maybe a hand, one final person. They say going once, twice. Feel free if there's okay. Let me pass it on to you, Doctor, and then after you'll also just crown up the time. Doctor.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share with the parents here. I'll just make a comment. The person who is talking about working for address, I think they have not read the book. When you put that context, when you have read the book, the story is how do you get address? And it is a very rich story. It has a lot of lessons to teach people to get into understanding how to work to be creative and to work for themselves to get the things they need instead of being demanding. Somebody has said that children feel entitled and disrespectful. I want to share a small story from my son. I haven't asked, but I think he won't mind. But my son, when Star Times was just coming in Uganda, heard from the friends about Star Times, and they were telling all the cartoons that they watch. And so every time we would see the ad on our TV, which was still on the analog, and he really wanted Star Times. So I decided that for his birthday, I was going to give him the subscription on condition that he earns the money to keep paying the subscription. So I bought him the Star Times decoder, and it had 1 month subscription, and he was responsible for raising the money to pay for the next month's subscription. I'm telling you, and we provided a job that they will have to wake up early morning and wash our cars so that we don't have to spend that money on washing the cars. They worked for a while, and he was the team leader. They had to earn the money to keep paying for the Star Times. So this concept of working for dress is to teach people that the things that we get should come out of work. Now, when children don't learn that, and when I had a very heartbreaking situation one time, I was at UNEB, and the mother was there with his son. And I was there for some other reason. And this mother, we got talking and asked him, and he was there with the son. I said, why are you here? I said, oh, my son got a 6 in chemistry, so they will not allow him into Chisubi. I said, so what? Say, I want them to change that 6 to a 2. So I've come to see someone I can pay. And the boy was there listening. So you are telling your child that they can get marks without working for them. Now that's breeding corruption. And when we do such things, so training the children, I would encourage you to get the book. I'll end by commenting on the issue of competition. Competition arises from the fact that we are all trying to fit in the same small space. And so, and since that small space has particular characteristics, you've seen this classic cartoon where you are telling the elephant and the monkey and to compete how fast they can climb a tree. Of course, your child is special, they are different. So most of the competition is trying to fit, there are competitive sports, yes, you must win to get there. And you should work and they should drive themselves to achieve that. But in most of life, we don't need to compete. It is helping your child to find their best gifting. I have seen comments by someone called Khalid saying that no, he disagrees with my issue. The parents should pressure the child and direct the child. Well, you will. But there are 3 states of carbon in chemistry. Carbon can exist as charcoal. It also exists as a substance called graphite. It can also exist as diamond. A person who has been fixed into a situation where they are not best gifted to be and their interests are not there, the best they will be is good charcoal or graphite. They will never become a diamond. So thank you again. Let me end. Please get the book from Afroshinda. The link has been posted here. We have put the price is of the book itself is 15,000. The shipping is 5,000. If you want to pay and we send it to you and you pay the shipping, you pay 15,000. You can pay by mobile money on that platform. If you want us to ship the book, pay 20,000. Or you pay 15 and you'll pay shipping separate. Thank you. Thank you so much. Michelle is saying that I've messed up the way I've explained to you. Can you give her 30 seconds to explain to you?
Yes,
she's
she
my
can.
daughter.
She can.
Michelle is here, please. That's why I didn't want you to tell.
Maybe let her come to your.
Okay, let her just give her half a minute.
So we had
priced on the website, we had priced it at 15,000 because of that issue. People sometimes want to.
Louder, Michelle, we can't hear you.
Okay, I was saying that we had priced it on the website as 15,000 because people might want to pay for the shipping once they have received the book, but it seems that there's going to be a little bit of contention. So my suggestion was we just include the shipping in the final price. So and it would be 20,000. So you pay the price once on the website. However, if you do not want to pay if you don't want to order it on the website and pay the 20,000, there are other options for ordering. You can send a WhatsApp to my number. I have placed it in the chat. Please just send me a message, place your order that way, and the book still will be delivered to you. The other way to deliver is also, the other way to order is send us a direct message on our Instagram, Afroshinda_ Instagram. You'll find it. It's also in the chat. There are 3 ways to order. Those are your other options for ordering. But on the website, it is 15.
Okay, thank you very much. Many people who have used this book, they have used it to study with their families. It's a very simple book. When I was writing it, I never thought it would have such an impact, but I want to thank you, Mama Tendo, for giving me the opportunity to share with you. And again, you have heard a lot of bad things about me over this week in the media. They are utterly false, completely false. I don't steal government money. I live above that. But there are some people who are against what I am doing as a minister. So they have set themselves to fight me and to make you lose respect and trust in me. Thank you. God bless you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Musenero. I know the political space is quite a challenging place to be, but I know God who appointed you there has given you the strength, emotional resilience to be able to stand in that space. And we look forward to any news on the progress of the vaccine. Personally, I am excited for any progress that will be made on that vaccine, whichever way it may go, because I'm really very Afri-centric. So it's good to know that we are thinking, even just thinking that we can invent our own vaccine is something that is quite exciting to me, because in the past we thought we can only receive vaccines from other people. But the thought that we can start making our own vaccine, I know a young scientist who is in secondary school has had that, and forever in their time, we don't know what they will be able to invent. So we wish you all the best, and our prayers are with you. And thank you so much for sharing with us the deep insights about your family.
I forgot something very important. Can you allow me just 10 seconds?
Yes,
this week is this week is our National Science Week. And we will be having an exhibition at Kololo. Entrance is free. Monday and Tuesday, it will be open to the public. You come and see what we are doing with science. Your children will be motivated to know what is happening. So the entrance is free for tomorrow. We start tomorrow morning, and Tuesday. Wednesday, it will be closed. So it will be only a few people because the president will be there. So I want to welcome you to the exhibition, and it's mostly showcasing what we have done with science in Uganda. And you are very, very welcome. We'll be now making some announcements on TV, radio today, in the newspapers tomorrow. So you are welcome at Kororo Airstrip.
Thank you very much. I think that's very important. I will be there personally with my kids to see what's happening. And I just want to also alert the journalist of Mama Tendo News. Please note that so that we can be able to write something about it. And both parents and children get an opportunity to go and see the the new scientific things that are happening in our nation. Thank you very much, Aaron. I don't know whether there is anything else on the agenda that we have not followed, but if there is nothing that needs to be highlighted, I would like to give my final prayer for the meeting. Is there anything else, Aaron?
Thank you very much, Mama Tendo, and thank you very much, Dr. Monica, for that wonderful presentation. And thank you very much, dear guests, for making the time to be on the call. This recording will be available, but also the YouTube recording is definitely available. You can share it with friends and family. Let me just share that again, the YouTube link for this particular video. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a blessed week. Mama Tendo, how about if Mr. Ruhweza leads us in a concluding word of prayer? Over to you.
Mr. Ruhweza is over in another room listening to the message, to the talk. I don't know whether he's online now to say a prayer for us.
Yes, he's online.
He's online. Mr. Ruhweza, are you online to say a prayer for us? Hello? Aaron, it may seem I have to say the prayer for him this time as well. Thank you very much, parents, for attending. Please register for us to get more information about our parenting seminars, and we will also inform you of the plans we have next year. So please leave your contacts. Please subscribe to our YouTube. We've had about 15 people subscribing this evening, so that is good. Please, if you have not, help us grow our profile as Mama Tendo Foundation. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Twitter. Thank you so much, parents. It's been exciting for me to host you. Thank you so much for attending. Some of you have been attending Mama Tendo seminars for years, so it's exciting to me. Let us close with a word of prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to thank you so much for the gift of the family. We want to thank you so much for the gift of children. We want to thank you so much with what has been taught to us today. We are praying that you teach us. You are our creator. You are our maker. Teach us. Teach us wisdom. Teach us what to do with the children. Direct us and guide us, that we shall not embitter our children, that we shall listen to the voice of reconciliation. Many of us who are so estranged from our teenagers, estranged from our children, big children, we pray that you reconcile us and reconcile our families and bring music back to our families. Father God, we thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name I've prayed. So feel free to live at leisure. Feel free to interact. Feel free to share any thoughts in the chat. Yes, thank you very much. And my own mom is online. My own mom is online. I've seen her. She sent the last message here on the chat. Thank you, Mommy, for being online. See you.